She's one of the most popular actresses of the Tamil film industry, and in fact in Trichy they've even built a temple in her name. He started as her director, but it didn't take him long to become her husband. So as you can imagine, the story of their romance is a very interesting one. But here to share it with us are the couple themselves, Khushboo and Sunder. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You know, they say marriages are made in heaven, but yours, Khushboo, very definitely began on a film set, didn't it?
Yes, it did. In fact, he was directing his first film, and he came to me for the dates. He explained the story to me, and we were, in fact, I was negotiating with the producer about the payments, and he went on and told the producer, don't give her any payment till she's finalized the dates. And he said, no, but it's okay, she's a star, we'll give her the payment, then we can get the dates later. And he was so stubborn, he said, no, till she doesn't give me the final dates, you're not giving her any payment. And producer was like, no, forget it, I'm going to give her the money first. And he gave me the money, and he was so bugged with it, saying, why did you give her the money? What if she doesn't give you the dates? And then we went to the sets, and he came, I was shooting for a different film, he came there to take pictures for the publicity. And it was very normal. In fact, the first schedule also went on very normally. It's only towards the second schedule, you know, like we started realizing, we started off as a friend, that's what normally happens. And slowly we started, there were too many common things between us. Common in sense, we were just drawn towards each other.
Were you just drawn towards each other? What was it that attracted you to Khushboo? Her looks, her talent, or were you already secretly in love?
Even though she's a big star, she was acting down-to-earth person, mainly as simplicity.
And not on the dates though, was she? She was demanding payment in advance.
Nothing like that. Actually, as simplicity, and something drawn me towards her. It's a spur of the moment. I just proposed her, and the first time itself she told me yes.
No,
It
actually,
didn't quite happen as quickly as that. I gather romance began slightly more slowly. There was a hint of it when he took the crew to Coimbatore to see Mani Ratnam's Bombay.
yes, he did. In fact, to be very frank, he had seen my second film, and he was not into movies then. And that was a very big hit, and he immediately told his friends that if I get married, I have to get married to somebody like her. And when we were shooting for this movie, Bombay was just released. So I'm a big Mani Ratnam fan. So he said, okay, let's all of us go for the movie. And we were jing-bang of 20 to 25 of us. We came down to Coimbatore, and when we were leaving, my aunt, my hairdresser, who's been with me for a very long time, he told her, Auntie, are you coming? And she said, very old lady, she's in her 60s, and she said, no, I'm tired. I can't travel 2 hours all the way to Coimbatore and come back. You guys go and come. And he very...
I was very happy then.
But tell me, did you actually persuade her not to come? Because her aunt was also her chaperone.
Yeah, of course. I told her, Auntie, this is a very long journey. See, the roads are very bad.
I never knew this.
So you made the whole thing seem terrible, and therefore you persuaded her not to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there he took the opportunity to hold my hand for the first time. That is because there was so much of crowd. He said, no, there's so much of crowd, somebody might try to misbehave, and he just caught my hand and he ran.
So he wasn't holding your hand, he was protecting you.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. Actually, I was protecting her.
Liar.
Now, shortly thereafter, he had to leave the crew and go away to Madras on work. And a chance conversation you had with a friend set off an incredible chain reaction. Do you remember
Yes.
it?
Yes, it did. He came to Chennai for some work, and he said he'll be back in 2 days. And that's when I told his friend, his cameraman, I think he saw me like I was very quiet, I was keeping to myself. Normally I'm a chatterbox and I keep having fun on the sets. And he said, what's wrong with you? I said, no, I'm kind of, Sundar's not around, so don't you think the whole set, the atmosphere is very different? He said, are you missing him? And I said, yeah, kind of, I am missing. But I didn't know that behind me, these guys have been having a talk where he went and told his friend that he had already told him, I really like this girl. And if I propose to her, I hope she says yes.
So what happened when your colleague, the cameraman, rang you? What did he say? That she's simply missing you, or that he thinks she's in love with you?
Yeah, he told me there's a chance for you. She said that she's missing you, there's a chance for you, come back immediately. Keep all the work at bay, come back immediately to Coimbatore.
And you did?
Yeah, of course.
The very next day he was there.
Were you surprised?
I was, kind of. And I was like, you finished your work? And he said, yeah, I did. I finished all my work.
Not only did he come back the very next day, that's when he moved to propose, but he did it in a very oblique, strange sort of way.
He did. We finished dinner and we went to the terrace for a walk in the hotel, and he was with me, and we were just sitting and talking, and he just turned on and said, who the kids will look like? I said, what? No, when we have children, who will they look like? And I said, what are you trying to tell me? Then he just went down on his knees, very unlike him. He's not at all a romantic person. He went on his knees and he just said, imagine I have a rose in my hand and I'm proposing to you. Will you get married to me? And I was so shell-shocked. I didn't know what to do. Without even blinking my eyes, I just said yes. And after saying yes, all I did was I howled and howled and howled.
Out of happiness or
Yes,
regret?
no, out of happiness. Because I was waiting that somewhere let this man come forward and propose to me.
So it was
waiting
in
for
fact
that.
a moment that was a dream come true.
Yes, it was.
But after that proposal, you waited 5 full years before you married her. What held you back?
Yeah, I want to settle myself in the life. I want to have an own house of my own house.
You were negotiating back with her suddenly, were you? You were paying her back for what she did the first time round.
Then it took little time for us to get married.
So in fact, in an old-fashioned sort of way, you were determined that before you get married, you wanted to be able to afford a wife.
Yeah.
Did you appreciate that, or were you
Of
rather
course.
irritated by it?
No, I definitely appreciate because from
No,
the day...
no, I won't.
no,
A lot of fights with me.
no, actually...
Oh, let him answer this one. Let him answer this one. She was irritated by the delay.
Yeah, of course. She persuaded me to get married to her. I told her, wait, anyway, fine. I have no other choice.
She was scared that she might lose you to someone else?
Yes.
Not to someone else.
Yes, I was. Because he became so successful and he was very sure, like before, earlier his 2 films, our first film what we did together and the next film was just average, and his 3rd film was on the verge of release, and he said, I will marry you only if this film is a very big hit, because only then I know I can afford a house, and before I get married, I don't want to take you into a rented apartment. I definitely want to take you in a house of my own.
So you started praying for his success.
I turned vegetarian for 3 months.
Did God repay your sacrifice?
Yes, he did, and that movie was a stupendous success, his biggest success of his career. And there was no looking back, and he immediately bought a house.
Except that there were a few little problems with the family on either side, weren't there? I mean, your mother wasn't completely sold on Sundar, was she?
She wasn't. She wasn't. Even now, I think even after so many years, the only word they share is hello, hello. That's all.
So the briefer the conversation, the better the relationship.
Yes.
In fact, there was a stage when your mother hoped that your brother Abdullah might be able to break the 2 of you up.
Yes.
But it worked out very differently.
It worked out absolutely differently. In fact, he's the only one. He's just 1.5 years older to me, and he's the only one I'm a little scared of. So Mom said, okay, the best thing is, it's not that he didn't knew anything. He knew what was happening. And he just, Mom just went and told him, I said, listen, you have to talk to this girl. She's going out of my hands, and you have to speak to her. And he just came over and he said, I have to meet Sundar. I said, fine. And he came and met Sundar and he said, what are ideas? He said, my intentions are very clear. I just want to get married to her. He looked at him and he looked at me, and then he said, are you sure? I said, yes, but I need time. I have to buy a house of my own, have to settle myself. Only then I'll get married.
In fact, I believe that particular line worked with her brother, didn't it?
Yeah, of course. We became best of friends.
Yeah.
But your parents were also a little wary. Were they a little suspicious or worried by the fact that you were marrying someone who was the biggest star on the screen?
Yeah, of course. They saw her as a big star, not as my girlfriend, my lover, or something else. They saw, see, she's Khushboo. It won't suit you.
They wanted a daughter-in-law, not an actress.
not a star.
Not an actor, not a star.
Now, in 1999, you'd been together for 5 years. But instead of getting married, your relationship went through a terrible tumble, didn't it? In fact, you broke up.
Yes.
What went wrong?
You can say I'm to be blamed because the pressures were working on me. He was not, like, it so happened we were planning to get married, and every time we fixed up a date, very religiously he would just forget about it. And it's like, okay, May, you find out a date in May and we'll get married. And I find a date and I call him up and tell him this date is confirmed, fine. And you expect him to forget about it. And he, yeah, were we supposed to get married? That was his reaction used to be. So it really started working on me because I was not getting very young. I wanted to have children before I reached my 30s. I wanted to settle down in life. I don't want, like, I'm not kind of a person, okay, you cross your 30, 35, your peak of your career, you see everything, and then you decide to get married.
So what
and
happened?
have
You
children.
gave him an ultimatum?
No, I tried, it failed.
So you broke up instead?
No, we didn't break up. I pressurized him so much that it was like I started defying him. You cannot do this. I dare.
But you did a very strange thing, didn't you, Sundar? Allegedly, you rang up the press and held a press conference and announced to the world it was all over.
That's because of me.
I
Because
think it's her point of view.
no, that's
Actually, she's the one who called the press, and
Yeah.
asked the press people to call
Call
Sundar.
him.
He wants to tell something.
So she rang the press and
Yeah.
said, go see Sundar. Sundar wants to say something.
Yes.
Something.
She instigated it.
Yeah.
That's right. I was defying him. I said, he's saying, no, it's everything is over between us. I said, yeah, if you have so much of guts, why didn't you go and tell the press? So he said, you call up and tell them. I said, no, I'll do it. I called up the press, and I didn't want to say it, so I put them on to him.
And when the press rang you, what did you say?
Actually, first time I told them there's nothing to tell to you, nothing to talk. Then again she rang up the press. Again she asked them to call me. Again they called me up. Now I got fed up. I told them, yeah, it's off between us, everything. The relationship, our love, everything.
And at that moment when you were saying it, did you really believe it was off? Or did you say to yourself, this
No
is just
way.
a fight?
Just a fight, I know that. Because we are inseparable, something like that.
So you were more mature than her. You understood her better than she understood you.
Yeah, of course.
And that way he does.
But then there was New Year's Eve 1 week later. And the two of you were back together again.
Yeah.
And I gather it all happened because he telephoned you. What did you say on the phone that brought you back together?
Actually, it's a New Year, not another New Year. It's
Millennium,
2000,
yeah,
Millennium New Year. So I don't want her to miss out the New Year because she's more interested in all these parties, all this stuff. So I knew that she was sitting at home without going anywhere.
You were feeling sorry for her?
Yeah. I thought I am responsible for sitting alone at home without
Or were
going
you a
anywhere.
bit scared that on the Millennium New Year's Eve you might have to spend the evening alone yourself?
Yeah, that's a good
It
question.
should be there.
So
Of course, it's there in the deep in my heart.
So you rang her and what did you say?
I told her I'm going out. Are you interested to join me? Immediately she said yes.
No, I didn't say yes. I said, give me 10 minutes, I'll call back.
Oh, to get dressed.
I called up my brother and I told him, I said, he's asked me to come out. Should I go out with him? And he put me on to his wife. And my sister-in-law said, if you can leave things behind, whatever has happened, just leave behind and start fresh, then go ahead. I think he's the best person for you. And I immediately called him back. I said, okay, come and pick me up.
And from that moment onwards, everything was fine again.
Absolutely.
In fact, 5 weeks later, you were pregnant.
Yes.
How did you break the news to Sundar?
He was shooting an outdoor schedule. It just happened. I was not expecting to get pregnant, and he was in an outdoor schedule. And I called him up. Like, I did a home test, and it was positive. So I called him up and I said, "Listen, I have a news to break." And I don't know. He read my mind so well. He just said, "No. Are you joking?" I said, "What?" He's saying, "Don't tell me you're pregnant." And I said, "Do you believe it?" They're saying, "No." "How do you know?" I said, "No, I did a test at home and it's positive." They're saying, "No. Tomorrow morning, go to the doctor, check yourself, then give me a buzz." I said, "Okay, I'll give you a call at 10 o'clock. And I was shooting, in fact. So I went to my doctor, I spoke to her, we did the test, and I got the results at 9:45. And I was shooting away from Chennai city. So I was like, coming out of the house where I'm working, trying to get where I can find the signals on my mobile. And I dialed his number. And he knew 10 o'clock I'm going to call up. So he was shooting in Pollachi, which was quite away where he wouldn't get the signals at all. So he drove down all the way with his phone, like bringing it out of the car and, trying to find out where he's going to get the signals. And the minute at some curve, that's what he said, at some point, some curve.
At last I got fed up. I can't go. I'm not going to get the signal. So I had a U-turn. When the car is turning, I got the signal. So I stopped the car in the middle of the road.
And you rang her?
No,
Yeah.
he was waiting with the mobile. I called
I
him
was
up.
waiting the mobile.
I called him up and he's saying, the first thing I called him, and he's saying, "What?" I said, "What?" He's saying, "Yes or no?" I said, "Congratulations, you're going to be a father." And the very next moment, he went back to the location and he told his friends, his complete unit members and his producers, "Hey, there's a good news, man. My wife is pregnant."
What did you feel inside your heart? Great, I'm going to be a dad,
It's-
or she's got me at last.
Both.
A little later I got that thought. But the immediate thought which came to my mind was the joy of becoming a father.
And then the second thought was, and I can't delay this marriage any longer. Now I have to get married really
Yeah.
fast.
And that's when I gave him the final ultimatum. I said, "This is it. I've got you by a neck."
You've become a father.
Yes.
Now you have to become a husband.
Yes, so you better fix up a date. And that's when he left on to me. He said, "Okay, you fix up a date, and I promise I'm not going to change it."
If I were to say that your story sounds like something out of a romantic novel, would you disagree?
He reads a lot, so he should know.
Yeah.
Do you have a feeling that perhaps he scripted it like a good director and that he made you act to his script?
Yes, he did.
Let's take a break at that point. I want to come back in part 2 and talk a little bit more about each of you and some of the uncanny similarities that we've discovered in your lives. We'll be back in a moment's time. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guests are the incredible Khushboo and Sunder. Let's talk a little about yourselves. Both of you are the youngest in your family, and in your case, Khushboo, you're the only girl. Were you horribly spoiled?
By my brothers, yes.
Not by mummy and daddy?
No.
They were the disciplinarians?
Yes, especially my mom. I was thoroughly spoiled by my last brother, Abdullah, and I still am.
But in fact, Khushboo wasn't the name you were originally given. That was something else, wasn't it?
Yes, Nakhat.
So how did you get to change?
I don't know, my dad just changed. Nakhat is a Persian name, and I believe it means Khushboo when it comes to Urdu. And it was very difficult for others to realize what Khushboo means or how to pronounce it, because normally they say Nikhat in Urdu. So my dad was saying, no, forget it. He changed it to Khushboo.
Khushboo was friendlier for those of us who don't know Persian.
Yes.
Now, the funny thing is, you're also the youngest in your family, but in fact, you're so much younger than your other brothers and sisters. I gather your mother was a little embarrassed when she was pregnant with you.
Yeah, of course. She tried all the ways to abort me. She went to took a bath in the falls. She took all the fruits which can abort the child, everything.
But you refused to be aborted.
Yeah.
You hung on for dear life.
Luckily, my auntie saved my life. Actually, she had only 2 daughters. She wanted a baby boy. So she told my mother, if it's a boy, I'll take care of the boy, something like that.
Now, the other amazing similarity is that both of you grew up at a time when money was a problem for the family. In fact, when your parents separated, your mother was facing fairly considerable financial problems.
Yes, she was. Dad and mom parted ways in '86, and that's when I had just started doing films in South. And Dad just left us in the center and he went. And
Literally high and dry.
literally high and dry. In fact, we were in a rented apartment, so to pay up the rents and everything was very difficult. And fortunately, I had just started work and I had very good relationship with Mr. D. Ramanaidu and Raghavendra Rao, my producer and director for my first film. So Dad went to them and told them, listen, if you clear the payment, she's going to come for the next schedule. And they knew something is wrong somewhere, and Raghavendra Rao just withheld the money, saying, no, I had cleared all the dues to her. I don't owe her any more money.
If he paid you the money, he could have paid it to your father and you may have lost it, never got it.
Yes, but it was very nice of him. Like, he sensed something is wrong somewhere, and he said, no, I've given all the dues. And then he called me up. He's saying, is there a problem between you and Dad? I said, yeah, what happened? So, he came for the payments. And I was like, did you give him the money? He said, no, I didn't. I said, good, give it to me because I definitely need it.
So those were really difficult days.
Yes, it was.
In fact, you went through a very tough time as well. I gather that things were so difficult you felt you had to leave home because you might have been a burden on your parents.
Yeah, actually after my father's retirement, he was a government servant. We lost all the money because my brothers did some business which occurred every loss. So I just moved away from my family. I don't want to be one more burden for my father, who was earning at the age of around 60, with 2 grown-up brothers.
How old were you at the time?
I was around 18.
So it couldn't have been an easy decision.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally pulled yourself away and began your own life totally independently.
Yeah.
You know, you had your first hit despite all the troubles that you've been through financially when you were just 9 or 10. Looking back, it sounds like quite a miracle, Burning Train. But is it true that Hema Malini's mother played a small role in this success?
Yes, in fact, Mamiji is the one who brought me to films. I used to regularly go to Hema Auntie's house, and Mamiji knew me very well as a kid. So Ravi Chopra uncle was looking for somebody to play that particular character, and Mami just when I came ahead and asked me, are you interested in doing films? Picture mein kaam karega? And I looked at her. I said, ice cream dega? She said, yes. So she said, okay, go ahead.
And if she said no, this whole career might never have happened?
Yes, thanks for the ice cream.
But of course, it was in 1985 that your career as an adult actress began. D. Rama Rao, who you mentioned a moment ago, offered you a role in his movie Kale Yuga Pandavalu.
Yes.
But in fact, it happened almost by accident, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I was doing Hindi films, and we had not, like, my dad had not left us till then. So he was the one who was managing my career, and he had signed a lot of films just for the sake of money, right, left and center, without realizing that whether the films are good, whether they'll be made or not, or how the impact is going to be on my career. And I did one film called Meri Jung, directed by Mr. Subhash Ghai. I played Anil Kapoor's sister in that. And D. Ramanaidu sir was looking to for a girl to introduce with Venki, his son. And Venki had seen that film, and he liked that Bol Baby Bol song a lot. So Venki immediately recommended me to his father. He said, why don't you try that girl? She seems to be good. And that's how it all started.
And as they say, history was made.
Yes.
The amazing thing is, Sundar, that there was an accident that started off your career as a director as well. I mean, the similarities between you are uncanny. Your producer, Vishnu Ram, got a message from God, he says, that he should make you a director.
Yeah, he's on the way to Sabrimala, his temple, and on the way that thought occurred to him.
Which he calls a message from God.
Yeah, he thought it's a message from God. Immediately on the he came back. I was there in Coimbatore, having my I was searching for an opportunity for a break, and he came back from Sabrimala. He told me, come and meet me in Chennai. We are going to do a movie together. How come suddenly this decision? Because God told me to do a movie. Come.
And what did you say? Thank God for God's messages.
Yeah.
Thank God, I should say that I found him.
Now, the amazing thing is, you've had a career that has literally gone from success to success to success. But in '93, there was a moment when things were beginning to fall apart, and I gather you even briefly contemplated suicide.
Yes.
What happened?
I think you reach a stage where you feel that that's the end of it. You're end of the cliff and there's nothing beyond it. I had reached that stage. And I was going through a very bad personal crisis, and I thought, okay, this is it. I cannot take it anymore. I was going against my family. I was going against my career. I had put my career on hold, everything. And I said, no, this is it. But I'm so happy, I'm so glad that the thought just went in a moment.
Today, 10 years later, is it difficult to talk about it?
No, definitely not. In fact, I would like to tell people that the thought of committing suicide is so strong, but just a spur of moment. You come out of it and then life is beautiful.
So in other words, just keep that control.
Yes.
You've always said that the great quality about Khushboo is that she's down to earth and she doesn't think of herself as a big actress. So when people keep introducing you as Khushboo's husband, does it hurt or do you just laugh it off?
No, because even before the marriage, I'm used to that. I know what I'm getting into.
You couldn't have been Khushboo's husband before the marriage.
No. Then I was Khushboo's lover, Khushboo's boyfriend. I was always referred to
as long as you're Khushboo's something, it doesn't matter. You know, there is, of course, this temple in Trichy, which they've built, where you're a goddess. Do you like it, or does it make you wince with embarrassment?
It does make me wince with embarrassment. It does, to be very frank, because I didn't knew about this temple, and I just read it somewhere in papers, and then people came and told me, listen, there's a temple in your name, and I said, I haven't seen it, and then they came and asked me, have you been there? I said, no, it's too scary.
Would you ever go?
No.
No way.
No.
You don't want to be a goddess?
I don't want to be. I want to be a very, very normal human being.
You don't even want to be a goddess for him?
I'm goddess to my children. To him, I want to be his wife. Just always 2 steps behind him.
But you're happy to have him as a disciple?
Yes, definitely.
Khushboo and Sunder, a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.